Hey Changemakers, it's Crafter here, and I want to tell you about my recent and insane trip to Singapore. I have just touched down in Singapore, just changed in this rather attractive alleyway. It is incredibly hot here. Leather jacket and waistcoat were a bad choice. I was there on the National Day of Singapore, it's like Singapore's birthday. I went to this giant mall, and it turned out it had 5 towers. I'm not used to malls that are divided into towers, and I got lost just trying to find my way out. I even saw a small animatronic vacuum cleaner fighting a small child, and I was just wondering how many other small children have been absorbed and trapped within the robot. I'd come to Singapore to track down another Changemaker. Great. Lovely to meet you.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you in person.
You too. I have a new friend with me.
Hi, my name is Shub. It's like TMNT. This is in Leonardo. Do it now.
Lovely Ninja Turtle reference.
And it started off in the little things, and it was just something that I realized made me happy. Trying to do things for others. I never thought I could have it as a career in any way. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a jet fighter pilot. I wanted to be like a conservationalist, whatever David Attenborough is, that's what I wanted to be. It started off with, from working with animals to mentoring children from difficult backgrounds. And then it just kind of grew from there. There are jobs or there are certain professions where, if not all of it, at least an aspect of it can be related to doing good. So I try and do that if I can, and if my job doesn't allow me to, then I try and do it outside of work.
I was asking you to talk about like the work you've done with refugees, and you said that I don't know if I've done enough work for refugees yet.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really funny because has anybody actually? Well, I guess I'm finished.
Okay, that's great. There was a video, and it was this little girl, and she was looking at the camera, and she was kind of screaming and angry and upset and all of that at the same time, and in desperation she was looking at the camera and saying, people of the world, can't you see that there's children dying here, we don't have no food, we have no water, and it's not our fault, like what are you doing? And I think that really spoke to me. I remember that moment very clearly, and I was like, here I am in my comfortable bed scrolling through Facebook. And I was like, I have to do something. And I know I can't stop the war. There's nothing of that scale that I can do. But maybe there must be something. So at that point, I thought, maybe I'll bake some cupcakes, because one of my friends had done that. She had baked some cupcakes, and whatever she earned from that, she passed on to an organization. And I thought I would do that, but then I was like, I can't really bake cupcakes that well, so nobody will buy it. And then I figured, why not just bring different friends together who are good at certain skills. And the idea just kind of grew from there, and it grew into an event itself, and there was a bazaar, and people came and bought items. They left feeling very, very empowered, and I think better informed about ways to get involved, because you enjoy helping people and you derive a certain sense of happiness from it, that you kind of willing to sacrifice a bit of yourself and your own personal time to want to work on these kind of projects. So while you do go out and want to care for the world and the people, the animals and nature, you need to remember you too are a part of that, and you need to care for yourself well in order to be able to continue doing that well. For any kind of social impact or change-making work, there will always be tangible and intangible parts of it. I think even with the dog shelter, there are some, intangible aspects of it. So even while you're working with the dogs and training them or rehabilitating them, you really only see the results at the, sometimes months later or a year later, when the dog that did not want to even come out or step out of its pen is finally willing to go out and walk. When he was petrified of the leash, and when he would see a leash and he's scared, frightened out of his wits, and then suddenly now you just put the leash on and he's happy to go out. So I think that's the tangible part of it, because you can see that. And same with the refugees. While you're raising the funds and you pass it on to an organization that's working with them in the refugee camps, you don't know how the money's been used until maybe a couple of months later when they come back with the report. So it's all a process. I think there's both tangible and intangible, and you have to take both if you're a change maker: the good, the bad, the tiring, the exhausting, the fulfilling, and what you see and what you don't see. But I think throughout that journey you will still kind of feel it in your core that, this is what I want to do.
There was one final thing that I had to do in Singapore. I knew that none of you would forgive me, and that is trying the rare, super popular new delicacy known as cheese tea. You didn't mishear that. Here we have the cheese and winter melon flavour. I think that's the winter melon and that's the little cheese bit up the top. So I'm going to try and get some of this creamy cheese layer. It was not good.